Hello and welcome to the worst movie ever made, an experimental movie podcast designed with one thing in mind: to find the best movie ever made. Because this is the best movie ever made, I'm your host, Chris Hockman. I'm joined by my co-host and fellow mad scientist, Rob Scucci and Bob Hasek. Hey guys, how are you? And why are we doing Halloween 1978?
Because it's a good movie, and I'm gonna digress for a second. You know how like the iconic like do 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 do
Oh yeah,
music. Replace that with Incense and Peppermint by Strawberry Alarm Clock every time we see Michael Myers walk into frame, and it's the funniest thing in the world.
I'm not familiar.
Incense and Peppermint.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, imagine him just like walking down the stairs to that. And I was doing that all day and laughing to myself. And I'm visiting my in-laws, and they're just like, "Why are you laughing to yourself?" I'm like, "You wouldn't understand." Who's describing
up,
it this week? Bob.
That's true. I don't know who's describing this week. I think it defaults to Chris on a good movie week, but I could be wrong. I love John Carpenter, and it's not just because of this. The Thing, which he made in '82, I think.
Yep.
If we ever do a good movie podcast this October again, I'm forcing us to do The Thing.
Okay.
Hey Bob,
using your executive privilege.
You know that 80s revival new wave band Gunship I've been like slinging to you guys nonstop?
Yeah,
John Carpenter is featured on that album.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, he's on Tech Noir Part 2. It's pretty sweet.
Awesome.
Is it my turn to describe? I don't know.
Yes.
Let's do
I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah,
all right. I'm not prepped, but let's just say that back in 1963, 1963, a small child murders his babysitter and is unmasked as Michael Myers, and 15 years later, we're joined by him as a 20-something-year-old escaping from an asylum and wreaking havoc on babysitters in his hometown. And that's it.
Well, that's how you know it's a good movie, right? It's so succinct. It's so easy to describe. It's like takes a sentence or two. That's like I'm alluding to our old
plot pitch.
The plot pitch.
Yeah. I look at a plot pitch, right?
And it's true. I think it holds true. All right, let's throw it to YouTube.
Right.
Sitting on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Sounds awfully familiar.
It's good, though.
No, it isn't. YouTube comments. All right, I'm going to breeze through these for obvious reasons, just because for good movies, they're never really that funny. It's just like,
true.
It's just kind of praising the movie, which it deserves, but like, we already know. So, number one, as strange as it sounds, this movie didn't need a sequel, let alone a franchise. It actually works well as a self-contained ghost story. I agree. Next comment. That last moment when the camera turns to where Michael Myers should have been laying as the music starts hits me every time. The use of sound and color in this movie always amazes me. Next comment. Here we are in October 2021 and 2 days before Halloween, and I'm actually watching this great horror movie from back in the day. It sure brings great memories from when I saw it when it first came out. Jamie Lee was sensational playing Laurie. Can't believe how old this movie already is. Wow. Next comment. Most of the crew were John Carpenter and Deborah Hill's good friends. They were working for very little money to none at all. They just thought it would be pretty cool to be filming a horror movie. And the last one, Halloween is the greatest horror movie of all time. It's the greatest slasher of all time because it's set in motion slasher films. But like I think it's like heavy metal. There's too many subgenres. You can't just like say it's the best.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
okay. You know what, Rob? I'm gonna hop on to your YouTube segment and use it as my vessel to say.
Okay.
I think it's good, but I don't think it's that good.
I have problems that we'll get into. I mean, it's iconic.
I think it's iconic.
Its impact. You can't
sure.
deny its cultural impact, but like, it's also anachronistic in 2023 to be like, oh, it falls flat for these reasons because it was made in '78. Yeah, but like,
I mean, yes, it's tough, but okay. So I want to say up front, it was the trendsetter for all slasher films to follow. Right? It set the bar for slasher films.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to knock them on their tropiness. I'm going to give them credit for the tropes later because they kind of established most of them. However,
I'll talk about that later in best production. But
okay,
there's some flaw with even your logic.
okay.
Oh.
Okay, interesting. But I will be hammering this movie a lot, and most of it will have to do with bad acting, which we only have a
I'm
few
sorry.
clips.
I'm sorry, hammered? You saying something about hammering?
Bob, I think you wanted me to describe the movie to get a gauge for how drunk I might be, and it's not that bad so far, is it? I'm not even. Anyway, let's throw it to test number 1, the best of its kind.
Okay, let's see. Good movie bumpers, best of its kind. Yeah.
Test number 1. It's the best of its kind.
Okay, Halloween 2. Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance, is it?
Yes, Donald Pleasance.
A 33, so a very steep decline after the first. I'll tell you what the first one got in a minute. Scream. Okay, so it gets much better from here. Scream, Nev Campbell, David Arquette, and 81. I do like that movie. I don't think it's good movie material, but it is original.
No, but it's
I love it.
It restarted the genre.
Yeah, agreed. Hellraiser, we know something about that. We did not agree with the score of 70, but it's Andrew Robinson and Claire Higgins. A 70 there, we disagree. Go ahead and check out the episode. Rob, where can they find it?
www.theworstmovieevermade.com, and there's a bunch of buttons you can click that take you to various places that have our archives and our social media and our streaming and all that good stuff.
Friday the 13th, Betsy Palmer and what's his name? Archie... I don't know. A 63.
Okay.
The guy that played Jason, Archie something.
Yeah.
And a king? I don't know. I can't read my own writing. I must have been drunk. The Shining.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, Shelley Duvall.
Had to be high.
And Jack Nicholson in 83. So, yeah, collectively, it is a large score of 66 on average. But Halloween, what did it get?
It had to have been like a 95.
That's a good guess.
I'm thinking closer to 85.
A 96.
Oh, wow.
Rob, much closer. A 96 out of 100. I strongly disagree.
I do. I also disagree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say 96. That's too high.
No chance. I'd say like a 66 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I would go that low. Plus 30 and best of its kind. So I jotted that score down. Let's sum it up with a limerick in test number 2. Ain't that a pitch? Sorry about my kids, by the way.
It's fine. And Bob, you got to go first because we've been second sandwiching you for all this time. So.
All right, look out.
But for all you Hulkamaniacs that haven't seen No Holds Barred yet, I'm making a list and I'm checking it twice. And you better go see No Holds Barred. Otherwise, I'll body slam you when I see you. Hulkamaniacs, what you gonna do when No Holds Barred runs wild on you?
Test number 2. Ain't that a pitch?
All right, so anyone that has not been following this season should know that Hard Ticket to Hawaii won our worst movie of the season.
Sure did.
And next season's bumpers are going to include a bevy. Is it a bevy? Is that a good word?
Yeah, that's a word. Yeah, you're right.
It's going to include a lot of Hard Ticket to Hawaii clips. I'm so excited because I'm so tired of hearing Annie McDowell sing, even though I like her.
And Hulk Hogan.
All right. I'm actually not too bad about that one. I like that one. All right. Ain't that a pitch for Halloween? There once was some girls who didn't look too shabby. Driving around before babysitting, smoking a fatty. One was kind of a prude. The other one got nude. And that homicidal maniac Michael Myers got all stabby.
That's good.
Rob, I'll go next. Yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
A minimalist thriller that offers just enough to build up the bad guy without all the snuff. The first real good slasher, the rest are button mashers, but I was really disappointed because the acting is rough.
Okay.
Oh, an honest one. Okay.
Yeah.
Spooky masked man inexplicably knows how to drive. In the town of Haddonfield, Illinois, he will arrive. He murdered his sis. Now he's after Curtis. When he gets shot, he's presumed dead, but still alive.
Wow. I'm going Rob.
I'll go Rob. 4.
3. Let's make it 3-5 for Rob.
All right, sounds good.
All right, I'll jot that down. Let's go to test number 3. What works well?
Oh yeah, shit. There's no different soundboard. 1 second. What works well? Here we go.
Test number 3. What works well?
Yeah, all my bumpers for that for the good movie thing have nothing to do with movies. It's just bad
That's
garage
fine.
band. Number 1, Killer Kid. I mean, it sets up a trajectory I like. You know, when you watch a 8-year-old murder his sister, babysitter or whatever, it's fucked up, and it sets the mold for the rest of the movie. I like it very much. This is also, I believe, it's the catalyst for John Carpenter. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is this his first movie?
No.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not
Is it his first big movie?
It's his first super successful movie.
It's the highest. It was the highest grossing independent film of all time when it was released.
Okay, well,
Yes.
I'm still right then. Number 3, and Bob, I think you'll love this one. Terrific tracking shots.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Starting with the very famous tracking shot right in the intro, where you're following Michael as a child around the house. If you guys didn't know, that is like a famous shot that directors steal from and people talk about all the time. So
It is, but get this. Back then, the type of film they were using only held so much time. So even though it looked like one continuous shot, it's actually like 4 edits.
oh, cool! I did not know that. I thought it was one continuous shot. But well, thank you for.
I know. I thought so too. And then when I read
Yeah.
that, I'm like, interesting. And then they said the whatever Panavision film they were using only held like a certain number of minutes, like a minute and a half worth of film. That's
Okay.
kind of cool.
That's actually true to this day. They even movies like Birdman that were like all one shot, like they can only shoot like 10 to 15 minutes at once, and they have to cut it in post. So
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Number 4, super iconic soundtrack.
Yep.
Rob, you alluded
Yeah.
to it already, but I mean, it's still used to this day. People love the way that sounds, and so do I. I gotta give them credit.
And John Carpenter composed it.
Yep.
Yeah, which is crazy. So he must be some kind of like genius or something.
Yeah.
All right, number 5, Laurie's not listening in literature, but answers accurately anyway.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like out of nowhere.
I think my kids are heading upstairs now, so I'm sorry about all the noise, but that's
Okay.
good because that means they're going to bed. So this also establishes that Laurie is really smart, which they clue you into, and that's I guess sort of how she beats Michael later. It's not super apparent that it's because of her smarts, but she does like use a coat hanger, and she has some clever moves.
She knows how
and
to
they
improvise for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Number 6, camera makes mention of matches that later confirms murder. So the nurse who has the matchbook, you get a look. Dr. Loomis, is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sees her matchbook, and the camera like makes it very clear, and they want you to see it, and that's because they want you to know that Michael definitely killed her, and then he swaps cars with somebody else, and you know that because of the matchbook, which is a clever use of that. Anyway, number 7, creepy killer in the clotheslines. I didn't know where else to put this, but I think it's great when Laurie looks out her window and she sees Michael standing in the clotheslines. They do this kind of thing where he disappears like Batman a lot, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an iconic.
Coon and
an
friends
iconic
with Cartman when he like disappears. Like, where'd he go? He's like, I'm over here now.
Honestly,
Yeah,
one of the
exactly.
first times I saw this in my teenage years, they were the babysitters are walking back from school, and he just shows up by that bush and disappears.
Yeah.
I was genuinely like freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah, back in the day, that was not a thing that happened in movies. Number 8, totally made these terror tropes trendy. And I'm talking about like, I'll be right back. use sex, you die, unkillable killer booby traps, sounds to distract people so they go look for it and get killed, and disappearing killer as well, like I just mentioned, the Batman thing. All of this stuff, to me, I feel like 1978 Halloween was kind of the originator. So, but I'm interested to see what Bob has to say in the best production soon, because it sounds like it'll be touching on some of that. And then number 9, Doobie Smoking Teens, which is just a thing that Bob also mentioned, but it is, 1978. If you weren't smoking doobies, you weren't alive. So, you guys want to mention anything else?
Yeah, just because when I was a lit major, I had to do a whole unit on like young adult literature. It follows the beats to that rather perfectly, where it's absent or incompetent adults.
Yeah, absent adults.
Yes. That's a very, very common thing in like young adult, even like Harry Potter and that kind of stuff. Hunger Games. It's just like the kids are left to their own devices and they have to figure shit out for themselves.
Yeah.
And they can't rely on anybody but their own intuition.
Yeah, you're right about that. Bob, you want to throw anything in before we head to Rob's ad read?
No, not at all.
Okay, Rob, take it away.
Going to Ponderosa.
Here I am, just like Bill Cosby in the new movie Leonard Part 6. And yet another.
Last time we hear this one.
Please.
Ponderosa. Cautiously. Then I see it.
Now get a Leonard Part 6 mini spy camera at Ponderosa for only 99 cents with any purchase.
All right.
Hi, Leonard.
Rob's ad read.
There's a family feeling at Ponderosa.
This might be catch-all territory, but I just couldn't. I'm knocking the movie with my ad read. Today's episode of The Worst Movie Ever Made is brought to you by the Michael Myers Driving Academy for Juvenile Sociopaths. How do you know how to drive a car? Michael Myers does, even though he was incarcerated at the age of 6 or something and locked away from things like driving school for his entire life. What if the car he stole was a stick shift? Do you think he'd be able to handle it? Why is it that at the age of 35, I'm just now realizing this after watching Halloween as an adult for the first time? It doesn't make sense to be locked up for your entire juvenile life and immediately know how to drive a car. Like, I don't think he was taking classes inside the mental institution for the criminally insane children. I'm pretty sure that learning how to drive falls pretty low in the list of things you want to teach to this kind of child. But I digress. Halloween is pretty great, but how the fuck does Michael Myers know how to drive a car? Cool.
Yeah, you know what's extra funny is that they touch on it, but it's still no explanation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like Loomis is like, he's on his way to Haddonfield right now, and the guy's like, how's he gonna do that? He's like, he stole my nurse's car, and the guy's like, well, nobody taught him how to drive, and then Loomis is like, well, it seems like he's like, yeah, somebody's been giving him lessons. It's like that doesn't explain how
in this padded room, like steering wheel simulation.
This is where one of the first instances of a series of some sort where they answer this in a later movie. I don't know if you know this.
They do a lot of retconning in Halloween because like Strode ends up being Myers' sister at one point.
Big time. Yeah.
And then the final trilogy.
Apparently Loomis drove Michael Myers to different appointments in different facilities, and Myers studied how to drive from Loomis.
Give me a break.
Okay.
Exactly. I totally agree. I'm with you guys.
Okay, test number 4, the best dialogue.
Best dialogue. Let's see, that's a good movie bumper.
Test number 4, the best dialogue.
Okay, one of these I'm throwing in as a curveball for you. We'll see which one you think it is, but we'll start with number 5. This is Weed Kills.
Still spooked? I wasn't spooked. Lie! I wasn't! Saw somebody standing in Mr. Riddle's backyard. Probably Mr. Riddle was watching me. Mr. Riddle was watching you? Laurie, Mr. Riddle is 87. He can still watch. It's probably all he can do. What's the pumpkin for? I brought it for Tommy. I figured carving a jack-o'-lantern would keep him occupied. I always said you'd make a fabulous Girl Scout. Thanks. In For that matter, I might as well be a Girl Scout myself tonight. I plan on making popcorn and watching Dr. Dementia. 6 straight hours of horror movies. Little Lindsay Wallace won't know what hit her. My dad! Get rid of this!
And when you cough really hard like that, you get super high because that opens your lungs up.
Yeah,
and it
you
just absorbs it that much faster. Yeah.
Not that I would know because I've never done that. But yeah, that's just nice, like friend and friend dialogue in a car. And what I really love about it though is that the marijuana is the inhibitor that makes them believe they could be hallucinating later when they hear and see things. So it makes it okay for the characters to shove away what they should find alarming.
Yes,
because they know that they're high, so they're like, oh, I'm just being a wimp because I was smoking, and I really like that. So number 4, yarg. This is Pale.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. The devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
What do we do?
He's been here once tonight. I think he'll come back. I'm gonna wait for him.
I still think I should notify the radio and television.
No. If you do that, they'll see him on every street corner. They'll look for him in every house. Just tell your men to keep their mouths shut and their eyes open.
Yeah, I like the way that ends when Loomis is like, you don't want to cause a panic because then we'll get all these false reports of Michael, and that it might be worse to be like goose chasing later. But also, it gives you a good feel for Loomis is supposed to be the expert on Michael, and he's telling the audience why he's sure that Michael is a fucking psychopath. Yeah. And we'll maybe hear more from him later, but I thought it was delivered really well. And now we're going to run to number 3. This is books.
I forgot my chemistry book.
So who cares? I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my French book. And, well, who needs books anyway? I don't need books. I always forget all of my books. It doesn't really matter if you have your books or not. Hey, isn't that Devon Graham?
Okay, so I threw that in because it was terrible dialogue and fuck this movie. Right up its fucking shitty ass. Fuck this fucking piece of shit movie. Fuck you. I hope we play that. I hope we play that clip again on the way out. Are you kidding me? I forgot my books. I had my chemistry book and I had my literature book, but I forgot my French book. And I'm really upset that I have my books. But who really needs books anyway? Because books are just books, and you don't even need. Oh, hey, is that Devon Graham? I like him. I think he's cute. It's like you're not supposed to be paying attention to her. I know, but I do, and I fucking hate it. And I told you I was going to throw you a curveball. There it was. All right, number Boogeyman.
Babies. I'm gonna take a little walk.
What is the boogeyman? I'm scared.
There's nothing to be scared of.
Are you sure? How?
I killed him.
You can't kill the boogeyman.
Get in there, come on, Tommy. Now lock the door.
I do like that you can't kill the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know why? Because at the end, they don't kill the boogeyman. A little foreshadowing. She stabs him in the eye, stabs him in the chest with a fucking knife or whatever, and he's gone.
Yeah, and then he gets shot 6 times, too.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, but maybe he was maybe he learned how to, he was watching Loomis just eat bullets and yeah.
He studied Loomis.
All right, number
1, Daddy.
By the way,
you know what? Fuck it. By the way,
I've had like 4 separate people ask me if you're going to get rid of that daddy thing that you do, and I was like, we have all new bumpers next season, so hopefully Rob does not do that again.
Okay, so do a better one is what you're saying.
Let's go to it.
All right.
The only thing that ever bothers me is their gibberish. When they start raving on and on.
You haven't anything to worry about. He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
Are there any special instructions?
Just try to understand what we're dealing with here. Don't underestimate it,
Don't you think we could refer to it as him?
if you say so.
The compassion's overwhelming, Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. It's his own psychologist, like referring to him as it, which he'd be the first person to say that this is a human too. But after 7 years of trying to make him human in his mind, and 8 years of trying to make sure he never escapes, he's just over it.
It speaks to how menacing Michael Myers actually is. Just like, dude, I'm a grown professional like child psychologist. No, this is not a person. He's a fucking evil incarnate.
Yeah, exactly. Which I loved. So there you have it. Why don't we throw it to Bomb for test number 5, the best production?
Test number 5, the best production.
Okay, have you guys heard of the 1974 film Black Christmas?
I've
Yes,
heard the name,
I've heard of it.
but I have not seen it.
Okay, it is officially the first slasher movie and the first movie to have a quote-unquote final girl. Have you heard that term before?
Yes, yeah. That's the survivor. It's Laurie in this case.
Right. So Black Christmas had the first final girl. But Halloween has, in my opinion, the first final girl that is most memorable. And that is my tagline. Most memorable final girl.
Okay.
That's for Chris to write down in
I'm writing
his,
it right now.
in his complete stupor. Okay, so arguments have been made. And
I'm writing it down, Bob, but I'm not sure I can read it tomorrow. So what does it matter?
Oh, wait till you read my text that I sent earlier. If you didn't read it yet, okay. So, here's the thing: arguments have been made that Laurie Strode, that's Jamie Lee Curtis's character, would have not survived without Dr. Loomis coming to her rescue. Because remember, in the last scene, he shoots Michael like 6 times.
Yeah.
But that's not just true. Had it been a normal human attacker, like if Michael Myers had been a normal, non-paranormal human attacker, Strode's efforts would have been sufficient. Like, she stabbed him in the eye, then she stabbed him with a knife.
Yeah.
And with no help needed from outside sources. So making her the heroine.
Yes.
Even Dr. Loomis. I mean, look at it. Even Dr. Loomis can't kill Michael. He fired several rounds into him with a gun, and Michael still escaped. So, therefore, not only is Strode the final girl of her own devices, but the one that people remember first and foremost within the genre. Well done, John Carpenter.
Yeah, because I know the argument you're talking about, where people criticize the movie because she was a damsel in distress. But the counter argument is, Loomis couldn't kill him either. So therefore, she's not the damsel in distress. Loomis is also in distress.
I did not once think of her as a damsel in distress. I thought of her as the heroine. To be totally honest.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's and I wrote that down, and we'll see if next good movie I can even make sense of it. But test number 6, the best acting.
Test number 6. The best acting.
Yeah, there's not much here because this movie.
No, there's not much here.
All right, let's start with
good acting.
No, there wasn't. Number
1, Daddy.
Oh, sorry.
1.
There you go.
It 2.
What do I give him when we take him in front of the judge?
Thorazine.
He'll barely be able to sit up.
That's the idea.
You're serious about it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You mean you actually never want him to get out?
Never.
Then why are we taking him up to Hardin County if you're just gonna walk?
Because that is the law. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Donald Pleasance and the woman acting there as a nurse had convincing dialogue, and there's not a lot of it in the movie.
Right.
But Donald Pleasance is like just defeated. It sounds like he's just like, I tried. I couldn't. Like, I'm over telling people that I couldn't. I'm done with it. Let's lock him away forever because he's just an evil piece of shit. And the nurse is like, I don't really.
How many scenes is Dr. Loomis with the nurse? Like 1 or 2?
2, maybe. Yeah.
It's like the first 8 minutes of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So here's a great fact or no fact that I'm revealing right away. He was 2 bottles of wine drunk for one of those scenes. And this might have been the one. So the director, Carpenter, was actually very concerned that Loomis, Donald Pleasance was going to be a complete wreck. And here he turned out just great.
Agreed. Sometimes when your co-host is really worried about your performance when you've been drinking, it turns out to be fantastic, and he should shut the fuck up about it. Let's go to number 2.
How did you know?
Number
1 second. I just tabbed it. 2. There we go.
This is Bushes.
Oh, look.
Look where?
Behind the bush.
I don't see anything.
Guy who drove by so fast, that one you yelled at.
Subtle, isn't he? Hey, creep. Laurie, dear. He wants to talk to you. He wants to take you out tonight.
He was standing right there.
Poor Laurie. Scared another one away. It's tragic you never go out. You must have a small fortune stashed from babysitting so much.
Guys think I'm too smart.
I don't. I think you're wacko. Now you're seeing men behind bushes. Well,
her friends are shitty, and I'm glad they're dead. Gotta say that.
Yeah, ignore the last 10 seconds there. It's not great. But I also wanted to clip it because it's the iconic shot that Bob was talking about. They're walking down the sidewalk and they just see Michael in broad daylight, which is not the horror movie, norm. You don't see the killer just out in the neighborhood, and it's kind of shocking because it's way more realistic than anything that you'd been presented by that point. It feels like Michael's a real thing in that moment, I think, and I can understand that and I appreciate it. Yeah. The acting from there is pretty good until the last like 10, 15 seconds where I clipped it anyway just because it didn't make sense to cut it earlier than that. But let's do number.
What's crazy is that so many subsequent movies did the opposite. Instead, like 1978, like this was like early enough in cinema that you think they'd take the lead and be scary. And instead, they went the opposite and did everything in shadows and reflections instead of actual broad daylight. So yeah, I give him a lot of credit for this one.
I do too, because it's Michael's brazen craziness. Like he's not afraid. Like later in the movie, and I don't think we clip it or we'll talk about it, but he kills that best friend, and then he is carrying her around at the front of the house. And the young boy that Jamie Lee Curtis is babysitting sees him do this, and maybe other neighbors too. But it's Halloween, I guess, is his cover. But he's probably not thinking about it. He just doesn't care, and he's the brazen, no fear attitude he has. I love it. It is creepy for that reason. So let's do number 3. This is Head Tilt.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Daddy? Linda, you asshole. Okay, Linda. Come on out.
How I sound when I order Domino's on the other end of the phone. This is for our YouTube audience.
It is.
www.theworstmovieevermade.com.
.com.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, so what that is, and Rob is right, it's kind of more for the YouTube audience. After Michael kills the guy, he does this thing that I love where he's like kind of interested in the way that he stuck the body to the wall. And I thought that was way before its time. It's kind of like the psychological makeup of the killer. And the interest that he has in how the body was like pinned against the wall that I thought was kind of horrifying.
Right. They only redid that in the Rob Zombie Halloween remake. That was like the first time I saw that redone.
Yeah. And have you ever seen The Departed?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Jack Nicholson, where he like shoots 2 people and the arrangement that they land in is different. And he was like, they fell funny. And it's like his like humor about the spot that makes you realize what a fucking psychotic killer he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he just shot 2 people in the back of the head, and the way that they were arranged afterwards, it's the same thing. You know, Michael's interested in like, I haven't seen that happen that way.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm with you.
There's a great interview with Matt Damon describing the filming of that scene and like how that was all improv. Like Jack Nicholson had the script and he's like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if like the camera kept rolling and I said this and the camera kept rolling and I said that, and like he gets more. He says like 10 fucked up things, but like 3 made the final cut, and they're like that just shows how into the character he was and how like he's like, yeah, this is so routine for him that he's just like, isn't that something?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
which is cool. That's an experienced actor right there, like knowing how to improv lines and stuff. Okay, let's throw it back to Bob for a fact or no fact.
Oh yes,
that's over here. Where is that?
Fact. No fact. Fact. No fact.
So this is where I flip it. And I used to flip it where I would do 4 facts and 1 lie for the good movie episode. And then I thought that was too fun. I'll do that for the bad movie episode. And here I am. Now with 4 lies and a fact. So only one thing that I'm going to read is real. Everything else is a fallacy.
Farce.
Everything is a lie, except for that one.
Okay. So fact or no fact for this, and I had a name for it. I thought with our hot dog influence, I thought Halloweeny. I thought Halloweeny Glizzerini is what I called this.
You're lucky I'm drunk.
Okay.
That's extra funny.
Okay. Okay, first fact or no fact is, of the female leads, all the girls were supposed to be in high school, but Jamie Lee Curtis was the only one who was a legal adult at the time of shooting. Okay, second one. Robert Englund. Do you guys know who Robert Englund is? He was the one that played Freddy Krueger.
Okay.
In A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
He said that John Carpenter had him throw a bag of dead leaves on the set for one day of this movie.
Huh.
Okay, Deborah Hill, who you may have heard in the previous segments, was Carpenter's girlfriend at the time of the shooting. She wrote the dialogue for the male characters, Dr. Loomis specifically, while John Carpenter concentrated on the female characters.
Okay.
Okay, second, Deborah Hill. I'm sorry, this is fourth. Deborah Hill, the co-writer of the movie, worked for a salary instead of a percentage of the profits, and with $7 million in profits, she regrets that decision.
Yeah, no kidding.
And last, this movie introduced the Feast of Halloween to the country of Greece. They totally did not know the holiday at that time.
Greece did not know about the holiday Halloween.
Yes.
Okay.
So one of those things is real. Everything else is a complete lie.
Heard.
That's tough because I can believe a couple.
Which one is real?
I believe Jamie Lee Curtis being a legal adult, but I don't know the age of the other women because I know she had like a brief career in like Playboy or something before acting. So she had to have been an adult, but I'm not sure of the other ages. So that's where I'm doubting myself. Robert Englund, I mean, that's believable. I mean, if you're like in the same sphere, but you're like working, like maybe he's like, oh, I'll give you $100 to like fucking, I'm a struggling actor. I'll sprinkle some leaves. That's believable.
Yeah.
I know Deborah Hill was the girlfriend at the time of the shooting. I know she did write a lot of the dialogue, but I also agree that he concentrated on the female characters because when people, to your point on production, Bob, when people criticize like the damsel in distress thing, Carpenter was very vocal about like their misinterpretation of like, oh, well, she's using nothing but phallic symbols to kill the killer. So I think he may have been speaking for the females in this movie. I believe the salary thing because when you're working on spec and you don't know if the thing's gonna be a runaway success, the smart thing to do is take the salary because overwhelmingly in many cases that's the only money you're gonna get. So I know James Earl Jones, he only started seeing residuals for Darth Vader like 10 years ago. And he was glad he took the $7,000 up front to do it because he's like, well, I'm not going to see anything off this because it's in the red when they made it. The movie introduced Halloween to Greece. This is tough, Bob. These are all like somewhat believable. I am going to say that Deborah Hill worked for a salary instead of a percentage because I think if you are working in show business and you're starting out, you want the short-term payoff because you're not sure if your work's going to have residuals. So I'd say number 4 is my answer.
I will say number 3 is my answer.
What, the sheet worked for?
That she wrote the dialogue from that, and Carpenter wrote concentrated on the dialogue from it.
I'm going to go backwards in my reveal because this was Bob Foolery all the fucking way.
I think they're all half true.
They're all backwards true. They're all backwards true. This introduced the Feast of Halloween to Spain, not Greece.
Right.
Deborah Hill worked for percentage of profits, not salary.
So
she
smart.
actually made a fucking killing.
Nice. Okay, so I'm wrong.
And they broke up a year after this movie was released. That's the kind of sad thing.
Oh.
But good for her. Okay. And Deborah Hill concentrated on the female characters while Carpenter did male characters, especially Dr. Loomis.
So,
and of the female leads, Jamie Lee Curtis was the only one who was an actual teenager. Everyone else was an adult.
So Robert Englund was a leaf
So
sprinkler.
Robert Englund actually sprinkled dead leaves on the set for one day. It was an interview he did for a magazine. I thought that was absolutely hysterical because I'm a big fan of that kind of trivia.
So Bob decided to trick, not treat, on this episode, and I'm not happy about it. I feel like, because I was thinking about number 2, I should probably get the win, but I'll just throw it to the catch-all.
Okay.
And now it's time for the catch-all. The doors suck.
They do. Simple jack-o'-lantern open, and I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Introducing Jamie Lee Curtis. How the fuck about that? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, she was Janet Leigh's daughter, who was the lead in Psycho, or the female lead in Psycho.
Okay.
And she was Tony Curtis's daughter, who was the lead in several things. But most notably for me, The Boston Strangler, which I recommend.
Okay.
She basically was not a good actress, but they kept her because she had famous family.
Yeah.
Nepo baby. Yeah.
For you Real Housewives fans out there, Kyle Richards was one of the kids in this. I was told to say that by someone who will remain anonymous. It was my wife.
Okay.
Here's some things.
Who the hell's Kyle Richards?
I don't know. Some chick from Real Housewives or something.
Oh,
Kyle Richards is some chick. Got it.
Yeah. If I haven't seen her boobs, I don't care. All right. Here's some things that offended me about the movie after I said that. Left the back door open? Really?
Yeah.
I said that to Aaron. I'm like, we're watching it together, and I'm like, they left the back door open when Michael goes like right in there, no problem. I mean, it's his own house, so it doesn't really matter. And she was like, yeah, in the 70s, that's what they did. They left their back door open. They didn't care. And I was like, what about bugs? You want like a million mosquitoes in your house? I don't.
Dude, and after Laurie gets spooked, she leaves her house and doesn't lock the door. She just closes it behind her.
What the fuck is this?
And then Jersey in October.
Come on, for real. Very quick sexies. Michael, Michael's sister or babysitter or whatever, and her boy go upstairs for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll call you.
Yeah. It's like barely anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna text you guys that. It's if you're going in filmic time, that was like a 30-second bang.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But when you were 17, 18, come on. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
sure. That's true.
Bloody boobers.
Bloody boobers.
Yeah. Yeah. Boobers. Okay.
The nurse thinks the psych ward is cool with patients walking around outside at midnight in the rain. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's something I wanted to explore further. It's like they're focused on Mike, but it's like, what about all the other lunatics that are just fucking like frolicking in the field in their white robes?
It's recreation time, of course. Cool that she drops off the key and becomes the target. I kind of like that. So she just drops off the key at the Myers house, and that was warrant enough for Michael to pin her. Why aren't the parents and teachers concerned about the jumpsuit man with the white William Shatner mask skulking around the school?
Yeah.
I don't know. Michael killed another dude on the way into town. I like that detail. It makes him a real psycho.
He did, right? He totally did.
That's where he got his coveralls, because it was like a mechanic or a plumber.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Remember trick or treating? Oh, I remember.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. Her best friend is a terrible person.
Yeah.
A horrible person.
She's the worst. She's the absolute worst. But on that, no good character development, because I fucking hated her, and I thought that Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie character was well developed. I also like the pacing in this movie pretty much, like for the most part. There's a couple of scenes that I think we can do without, but you got to make.
They actually had to add scenes for the TV versions because of duration.
Yeah, exactly. Why does a friend have to get completely naked and then put on a conveniently hanging man's button up in the kitchen?
70s.
I mean, that's the only thing she wears. She picks up in the middle of the book. This is Laurie with the kid while she's babysitting, and the kid is like, "Nah, like we've already read half this book, but no, I'd rather read my comic books I have stowed under my under the couch." And they are Laser Man, Neutron Man, and Tarantula Man. And I'm just feeling bad for this kid. Her friend calls Ben Tramer and tells him how attracted she is, Laurie is, to him. And what pisses me off the most, I think, is Ben Tramer is an obvious fake name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 8 billion people in this world, and none of them are named Ben Tramer. Fight me.
Apparently, Laurie Strode, the Jamie Lee Curtis's character, was based off of John Carpenter's first girlfriend.
Oh, I'm not kidding. Cornstarch, mustard powder. What the fuck is that chick putting on her popcorn? And I thought I thought because it's Carpenter, it's cool that they pander to the Thing.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah,
they did. Maybe it's not cool if you take it like Malibu Express style. You know, like mentioning your own movie, but she's going
Thing
out.
Wasn't until 82, so that was. I guess he was planning on remaking it. I have no idea.
Okay, gotcha. Going out to the laundry room in just your shirt with trick-or-treaters about and, parents looking out their windows and shit seems a little, whatever. Anyway, she's in the laundry room and she can't get out, so she gets stuck in a window like it's a bad porno.
Yeah.
Michael, by the way, has super strength. Don't know where he learned that. Probably from Loomis.
Yeah. Probably from Loomis.
That's right. From Loomis, yeah.
At some point, Laurie is on the phone with her friend, and she's talking about Annie's famous squealing. She's like, everybody knows Annie for her famous squealing, and that made me uncomfortable. Yeah. Also, another thing that Laurie says is, "You'll be sorry." And by the way, nobody is ever sorry when someone says, "You'll be sorry."
Yeah,
I don't think that's ever happened. So. Judith Meyer's headstone in the bed is kind of funny, but it's like a decent callback to the headstone missing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but those things were heavy.
Yeah, seriously, like 100 pounds.
Can you just imagine like a fly on the wall witnessing that? It's like he's just like in the graveyard, like and then it's like lugging it up the stairs because it wasn't in that
room.
Who
is he, Steven Seagal? How's he moving that much weight up the stairs?
You got to think about the timeline here. So the headstone wasn't in the bed. The body wasn't in the bed.
Yeah.
So Laurie is running around from a killer, and he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta set this up," and he has to like scramble, like get all the bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
Put the tombstone, and then he's like, "Oh right."
That's where the supernatural part is supposed to come in, I guess.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of when Steven Seagal uses the lipstick to leave little notes for all the bad guys when he's killing them. Don't just leave the knife next to the killer. Don't do that. Don't drop the knife next to the person who you don't know is dead for sure and is killing everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
And a precision eye poke from Laurie. Nice job, Laurie.
Oh, very,
really nice.
Very precise.
Yes. You guys want to mention anything before we throw the bad credit name?
Just the franchise as a whole, because they mess with the continuity a bunch, right? And
Yeah.
Laurie is in subsequent films, but the final trilogy that just like concluded, that resets the timeline, and that takes place ignoring the rest of the canon. And it follows, but like the rest of the canon's what established that she's actually his brother, his sister.
Yes,
which is why he's after her. But then she's still his sister after they reset the continuity. It just bugs me. It's like that first YouTube comment was better. It's right. This would have been better as a standalone film, I think.
I completely agree.
I totally agree. I hate sequels. I absolutely hate them.
Yeah.
For the most part, I agree.
So that's all I had to say. It's just like they fuck with the continuity, and they're like, oh wait, no, we didn't like that, but we're gonna keep this part, but also reboot it.
Yeah, shitty. Yeah. All right, bad credit names.
I'm the Freak. The Phantom Freak. The King of 9X.
Bad credit names.
All right, wait. How about the Master of Disaster, huh?
You're hopeless, man. Utterly hopeless.
Ultra Laser. Dr. Doom. Orwell's here now. He's living large. We had no names, man. No names. We are nameless.
There were only like 40 people involved with this movie, so I couldn't pull much. Reed Freeman, kind of like Reed Freeman. Jack DeWolf.
Yeah.
Wow.
PJ Souls.
Ew.
Yeah, she showed her boobies.
Oh, did she?
Oh.
I saw
that. I thought Chris the Boob Sleuth would have known that.
Yeah. No, the Bob Sleuth instead. Coming in with the Arthur Mallet.
Okay.
And
Art Mallet. And lastly, the one that I thought was best, Sandy Johnson.
Yeah, that's the winner. For sure.
Nobody wants those.
Yes. That wins.
Yes, definitely. All right, let's go to the movie results.
Okay. Fight the real enemy.
Okay, best of its kind, plus 30 and best. Very nice. A pitch of 3.5 from Rob. All right, Rob. Come a little hard next time, you know what I mean? What works well? Really well. I think a lot of this works really well, no?
Yeah.
Dialogue, what do you guys want to say about it?
It moves the story forward, I guess.
It's slasher dialogue.
Moves the slasher movie.
Yeah. It's teenagers being teenagers, and then they're all getting killed. Like
it's a lot of Dr. Loomis exposition.
Agreed. Most memorable final girl for production. I like that. That's a very standalone. Acting, how'd you feel? I'm going to say terrible.
I mean,
I'll say okay. I'm going to say okay.
I'm going to say terrible.
Yeah,
this movie sucks.
It's okay.
Terrible.
Because here,
fuck Halloween. This movie blows.
The Exorcist came out in 1977, right?
Yeah, 78.
Yeah. 78. So same year. So let's compare the two. Like I would say, Exorcist had excellent acting compared to Halloween, but I don't think Halloween's terrible either.
I do. Okay, so terrible. All right, you guys want to say anything extra, like an opposite of demerits?
It was a
I'll say
trailblazer.
Really great work with the given budget.
Agreed.
Yeah. That was like $100K, right? Make this?
$350.
Okay.
But still.
But
okay.
It made $70 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's like a Marvel ratio. Yeah.
That's like a
really
20,000 times profit or some shit like that.
Outrageous.
Yeah. And
okay, guys.
Too,
go ahead.
Back then, too, the box office earnings were like if you made back your production budget, you pretty much like broke even, then you profit. Like nowadays, you have to like double your budget when you factor in the marketing and all that shit. So like even though the Flash would have to make 400 million against 200 million to be a profit, whereas back then it's just like it was like 1-to-1.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what we're watching next week?
I hope it's Idle Hands.
It is Idle Hands. We're watching Idle Hands next week.
Okay,
it is
I'm
Idle
down.
Hands. Okay.
I watched it last week. I'm gonna watch it again. It's on the drive already because I wanted to watch it, whether or not it won.
Well,
so
you put it on the drive already?
It's already on the drive.
Already
Nice.
on the drive. Perfect. Rob, why don't you plug us? Send it to Bob's last word, and then let me pee because I've had like a million.
Sure.
Beers.
So you can listen to our Idle Hands episode of The Worst Movie Ever Made next week at www.theworstmovieevermade.com. That's where our Spotify is, our Google Play, iTunes, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube episodes go live every Sunday after we premiere on Wednesday for the audio version of the show. That is our Idle Hands episode starring Devin Sawa and Seth Green at www.theworstmovieevermade.com. I am so fucking happy right now. Bob, what are your final words?
Well, Chris said it earlier. I'm not sure anyone caught it, but he said bloody boobers, and that's my final word.
I did say bloody boobers. All right. With that, we want to thank you so much for listening. Go check us out. Email us. We have our email to read next week. I believe it's going to dictate a movie that we watch next season. I think next season we're doing blockbuster flops, something along those lines. We had discussed. We'll discuss it again. I have to pee. So goodbye. I love you. Thank you for listening.
I forgot my chemistry book.
So who cares? I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my, my French book. And, well, who needs books anyway? I don't need books. I always forget all of my books. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you have your books or not.
17
Hey,
books.
isn't that Devon Graham?
All right, guys. See you next week. Hands, fuck yeah, dude.